Hi, today I want to share one small secret with you. I get paid to write a bad code. And it's not April 1st, so it's not a joke. I actually get paid to write a bad code, wrong code, messy code. And it's not a sabotage, because as you know, saboteurs usually try to hide their identity, and here I am, open about that. So what I'm actually doing? Well, let me try to answer the question. I'm trying to prepare an application that presents one of the biggest issues in Rails applications. So what is that? We'll answer that today in today's episode. As always, I'm with my man Tomek. Hi, Tomek.
Hi. Yeah, so we also wanted Andrzej to join us, but he didn't want to see this code, I think.
Yeah, he's actually paying for that, but he doesn't want to see that. Well, he'll get eventually surprised. But yeah, Tomek, so how would you describe one of the biggest issues in Rails applications, but not only Rails applications actually, because as you guys know, we come from different worlds. Tomek is from Java. I come from the .NET world, and here we meet at the Rails world, and we have a similar conclusion that there is this set of the problems that is actually the same.
Okay, so even from our different experiences and different, let's say, technologies, I think we quite common can see that we have the problems with the God classes, which huge models that do too much, for example, or they have too many responsibilities that should be somehow splitted. And I think that's quite common case in every project, and it's the same, I think, in Rails, right? That's what we identify, that we will probably want to write such big models and then show how we decompose them.
And let's take a break to play a game. In the comment section, please write down what's your largest database model in your Rails application. You can do that by going to your console, identifying the model, and just typing the model name that I think columns.count, if I'm not correct. I can actually check that. But yeah, let's play a little game. I think answer for us would be around 40, right? Recently.
Yeah. So maybe let's jump into the code and let's see what's going on here. I'm not sure, but maybe you are familiar with our e-commerce repository. It's like a kind of sample application where we do the DDD, CQRS, event sourcing, everything here. And
we don't do Kubernetes.
Oh yeah, okay, we don't do Kubernetes exactly, because that's the modular monolith here. Without Kubernetes. And you can see that we have those nice bounded contexts where we have everything structured. We have aggregates, commands, events, and that's the bounded contexts are defined, and they're independent mostly. And what we did, that's on the master branch, and you can see it. Why it's
just go and explore.
Yeah, you can explore. I think there was a few years ago, then Andrzej had this this topic idea of everything is in an e-commerce, every project. You can agree or not, but yeah, that was his point. And if you go there, I think you can more or less identify those bounded contexts also in your projects indeed. And what we've done till now, we have another branch, which is experiment. And let's check out this branch. And you can see that there is there are no bounded contexts.
There are not any contexts at all.
Yeah, exactly. We have up here models, some models here, orders controller, right? There are no bounded contexts. We again merged everything to a single application with just a few models, right,
That,
Łukasz?
that was the part which I mentioned. So that was the part where I got paid to write a bad code because I actually did most of this. But you may ask yourself why. I mean, don't you have anything more productive to do? And actually, the question is, I was trying to be productive, although it's a little bit hard to mess up the code in that way. You have to remind yourself how it was when you were a college student. Because then only what was important was to pass the exam or a project, and there's no maintenance. Some developers still think that the work is like that, and sometimes it is. But yeah, so what we are doing is that we're preparing a workshops with this application in which we'll show you how you can clean up this mess, because this is a mess, and how you can get actually into what we have in the master branch. So we're trying to, first of all, prepare a project and then run
Reverse
a workshop.
engineering.
Yeah, reverse engineering, reverse engineering.
Well done project.
And we want to show you our way of thinking as a workshop. And first workshop is organized in Warsaw. I think Tomek will link and the sign up somewhere here. We'll also leave it in the description. But this edition is happening in September. But probably if you want to sign up and you will not be able to make it on September, we'll do another editions. But that's the reason why we are doing this. And now let's go back to the code. Let's see this mess.
Yeah, so maybe just quickly, just to show you, give you some kind of sneak peek here. I know that probably if you've heard, you probably have heard the good practice to not keep too much code in controllers, right? But it should be somewhere encapsulated. So, and you think that keeping code in controller is not good, right? But what can be worse? Well, I will show you that in a moment. Let's see on this commit, for example.
Yes, and by the way, I'll just mention that for the purpose of this workshop, we are skipping the service objects. That's actually what I hear from the studio. I'm just kidding, there's no studio, but yeah, so we're skipping the service objects. We'll not do that. We already know that this is the dead end, so we'll show you something different. But first, let's, are you going to defactor that code, Tomek?
Well, I will show that on the div right here. So,
all right.
So for example, in the controller we had like this logic, right? Here and here. So some kind of duplication. It's very small, but duplication. And we close that in the model here, right? That's well encapsulated. The same situation, for example, the same situation, for example, here we had some kind of if statements with some operations here and here, and we also encapsulated the add item and remove item to the model. So now we have them here, and you might think, yeah, that's great, but actually it's not, right? And we even think about how to make it worse. So for example, maybe here when we add the item, we actually, to make it this code even worse, maybe we, for the first let's say iteration, we don't have any items. There is nothing like items, but we, let's say, add product and remove products, right, from the order, yeah. Which would be even more messy, right? But what's wrong with, let's say, here keeping this with those methods here? Well, we think them like we did some kind of encapsulation, but we don't think it's a, let's say, good way to encapsulate things, right? Mm-hmm. And the approach here will be to show how to do it actually, how to do it well on the workshop, right?
Yeah, and of course we'll talk about when the well is needed. So not well as the well, but well as the approach. And that's because sometimes this code may be fine, right? It depends on the context, it depends on the traffic that you have in your application, how big is the team, what problems do you have. But if, for example, one of your problems is that you are trying to do a change in, say, the order file, but also 3 of your colleagues do the same because order file has 500 or 1000 of lines of the code. That's one of the issues, and that probably means that you should split this model to smaller models. Also, if during saving the order to the database, order object to the database, if you're having the some kind of issues like locked issues, for example, then it may mean that the model is also too big. And of course, last but not least, reads are like reading the data from the database is most of our application traffic, right? At least, of course, you can measure it in your app. I will not brag if you say it's writing to the database because maybe you're in IoT industry, but in the most business application, we read more than we write. So if the model becomes, if reading becomes slow, reading from the database, then it may also mean that you need to redefine your model, maybe to a read model, maybe to a view, maybe materialized view. And we'll also discuss when to use which approach, what business question you need to ask your business in order to make such a decision as developer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I would like to add to something what you said about the good code and bad code. We could have I know we could have philosophical discussion about what's good and what's bad here when it comes to the code. Yeah, when it comes to the code and how to define whether code is bad or not. But let's say in the scope of this workshop, as we mentioned, it's like we have seen some issues with big models, right? And we would like to just show you that sometimes it's indeed when you have too big model which does too many things, so has too many responsibilities, how to split it into smaller models, or not models, but kind of use kind of patterns like value objects to encapsulate some logic, right?
Yes, and if you don't know value objects, you can check this. There's a video in this channel. But for example, what we would do normally with value objects, we would eliminate the shotgun surgery. But there's a separate video on that. We will also show you on the workshop how you can do this, how you can actually use value objects to bring the value to your code base.
Basically, everything if you are watching us, everything what we had in our videos till now will be, I think, on this workshop, right? More or less.
Yes, structured, and with possibility to ask questions in real time, not only to two of us, but also to Andrzej, which also will be trainer. He'll be trainer at the workshop. And yes, to not make this any longer, I think, Tomek, unless you want to add something.
No.
All right. So if you're interested, hit us up in any channel. We're happy to discuss. As we mentioned, the workshop is in September in Warsaw, and
in 2 weeks, I think, right?
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks. So don't
take
your time. And thanks for watching. Remember to add the comment with a number of columns in your largest table. That would be interesting to see.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.